So, kanina, ang kinoconsider natin na load ay yung unit weight pa lang nung soil, or that is the self-weight. So, aside from the self-weight, meron ding other forces that are acting on the wall. These other forces might also act on the wall, and these are superimposed onto the earth pressure force. For example, these forces might include surcharge load, earthquake load, water pressure, and compaction. So, a surcharge load results from forces that are applied along the surface of the backfill behind the wall. These forces apply an additional lateral force along the back of the wall. Surcharge pressures result from loads such as a line load, strip load, embankment load, traffic, floor loads, and temporary loads such as construction traffic and stockpiles of materials. An example of that is itong Q. Yan yung nasa ibabaw ng soil. And then we have earthquake force. Additional lateral loads resulting from an earthquake are also superimposed onto the lateral earth pressure. And then we have water pressure. Walls are designed to prevent hydrostatic pressure from developing behind the wall. Therefore, loads applied to most walls will not include water pressure. In cases where hydrostatic water pressure might develop behind an undrained wall, the additional force resulting from water pressure must be superimposed onto the lateral earth pressure. So, isang reason ito kung bakit merong mga weep holes or yung mga butas na nakikita nyo sa retaining wall para ma-relieve yung water pressure. And then we have compaction. If heavy rollers are used to compact soil adjacent to walls, then high residual pressures can develop against the wall, increasing the total pressure. Although a reasonable amount of backfill compaction is necessary, excess compaction must be avoided. For the earth pressure force, the active earth pressure produces the destabilizing earth force behind retaining walls. Although passive pressures might develop along the toe of the wall and provide resistance, it is commonly ignored. Since soil backfill is typically granular material such as sand, silty sand, sand with gravel, this course assumes that the backfill material against the wall is coarse-grained, non-cohesive material. It is important to note that the full active earth pressure condition will only develop if the wall is allowed to move a sufficient distance. The lateral outward movement required to develop the full active pressure condition ranges from 0.0001H to 0.002H for granular soil, or this is dense sand to loose sand. Ito yon, yung H all over 1,000 to H all over 500. So yung H all over 1,000, yan yung 0.001H. Yung H all over 500, yan yung 0.002H. Or that is dense sand to loose sand. So itong dense tsaka loose sand, yan yung granular soil. And then for cohesive soil, it ranges from 0.01H or H all over 100, that is for stiff clay, up to 0.02H or H all over 50, that is for soft clay. So yan yung mga cohesive soil. Another characteristic of granular soil tsaka cohesive soil is etong cohesive soil, for example yung clay, ibig sabihin yan, madali, mas makapit sila compared sa granular soil. Mas madaling mag-slope ang granular soil compared sa cohesive soil. For example, ito kapag sand ito, meron kang cone. Pero kapag stiff clay, ang cone o halos vertical yan, ibig sabihin, hindi sila madaling basta-basta na naghihiwalay. So in short, kapag ka stiff soil, for example yung clay, ang kanyang angle of internal friction or yung phi or yung the plane, the angle that the makes with the failure plane makes with the horizontal is mataas, no? So let's say yung stiff clay, itong internal friction niya is kayang-kaya niyang umabot ng almost 90 degrees, ano? And then samantalang yung sand, which is granular soil, ay syempre mababa, malit ang kanyang angle of internal friction or yung kanyang cone shape. So that's the difference between granular soil and cohesive soil. So before going to factors of safety, pakita ko lang itong mga soil pressure diagram. So, kanina, meron tayong mga lateral loads. So, originally, ang loads natin, referring to active and passive pressure, yan ay dependent dun sa unit weight of soil or sa self-weight. And then, kasama sa self-weight, yung cohesion ng soil. Well, in a sense, yung cohesion, yan yung property ng soil na nagdidikit-dikit. Now, the difference in cohesion is yung sand. Ang sand, mababa ang kanyang cohesion, samantalang ang clay, mataas ang kanyang cohesion. So, ang sand, mababa ang kanyang angle of internal friction, samantalang ang clay or cohesive soil, mataas ang kanilang angle of internal friction. So, dito sa mga forces na nakalagay dito, ang hindi kasama dito ay yung external loads such as yung earthquake. Okay, so hindi kasama dito yung earthquake. Pero nandito yung surcharge Q, tsaka nandito yung water pressure. Ngayon, ang behavior ng soil is parang tubig, parang hydrostatic force siya. Ibig sabihin, at the top, 0 ang kanyang force. Kasi at the top, the height is 0. And you multiply height by its unit weight. So, 0 times unit weight is 0. And then, habang bumababa ka, tumataas ang kanyang height. Ibig sabihin, habang nagkakaroon ng height, multiply man ang unit weight, tumataas ang kanyang force. So at the bottom, where the height is pinakamataas, yan yung maximum pressure. Kaya ang kanyang loading ay triangular. Ganon din ang water. So triangular loading siya. Pero pagdating na sa surcharge, ang kanyang loading ay rectangular. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung pressure na contributed sa taas, ganon din yung pressure na i-contribute nyo sa baba. So that is why it is triangular. Same thing applies with the cohesion. So sa cohesion, meron tayong active cohesion tsaka passive cohesion. Now what's the difference between these two? Remember na due to gravity, okay? Due to gravity, tingnan natin tong water. Siyempre, yung water, let's say meron tayong wall dito. Obviously, yung water, itutulak niya palayo yung wall. So, ang behavior ng wall sa tubig ay active. Same thing din sa surcharge. Yung surcharge, itutulak niya ngayon yung soil pababa. So, bubukol dito. Okay? In short, itutulak din ng surcharge yung wall palayo. Kaya ang behavior ng surcharge is also active sa palayo yung wall. And then, yung soil, syempre, meron din siyang self-weight. Kaya, ganun din, para sila ng tubig, itutulak niya yung wall palayo. Para sa active cohesion naman, let's say, dito sa retaining wall, ang soil natin dito ay cohesive soil. Let's say, clay. Ibig sabihin, madikit siya. Okay? Mahirap silang paghiwalayin. So, ang tendency nun is, yung cohesiveness niya, kokontrahin niya. Ibig sabihin, may pumipigil sa movement nung wall. Ngayon, yung pumipigil na yan is yung pagka-cohesive nila. Kaya ang force distribution niya is opposite direction. And then, para sa passive naman, let's say, dito sa passive behavior ng soil, naglagay tayo dito ng cohesive soil. Ibig sabihin yan, dahil yung soil mo is makapit sa isa't isa, dikit-dikit, ibig sabihin, hindi mo rin sila pwedeng basta-basta maitutulak pataas. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, dahil di mo siya pwedeng itulak pataas, yung cohesive property ng soil is kinokontra niya ngayon itong movement ng wall. Kaya, ang passive cohesion, mapapansin nyo, ang direction niya ay itutulak niya yung wall palayo. So, ang tawag dyan ay passive cohesion. Kaya, may contribution ang cohesion ng soil sa lateral force. Okay, so ngayon, aside from the soil unit weight, meron na tayong surcharge. Ito, kasama na rin ang water, and then kasama na rin ang cohesion. Ngayon, ang force sa bottom, okay, ito, or pressure at the bottom is defined by the height of the retaining wall. So, ang pressure diagram due to soil is K times unit weight times H, wherein K is the coefficient of lateral earth pressure. Tapos, due to cohesion naman, P is equal to 2 times C times square root of K. And then, para sa surcharge, P is equal to K times Q. In this case, yung surcharge load, i-convert mo siya ng kanyang equivalent soil load by multiplying it with K. And lastly, yung water. It is equal to unit weight of water times H. Okay, so P sub S, this is pressure at the bottom due to soil. And then P sub C is pressure at the bottom due to cohesion. And then P sub Q is pressure at the bottom due to surcharge. And then P sub W is pressure at the bottom due to water. And finally, your K is your coefficient of lateral earth pressure. Again, ang K, meron siyang active, meron siyang at rest, at meron din siyang passive. And finally, yung C, yan yung constant due to cohesion. Now, going back, so pag-usapan na natin ngayon yung pag-design ng retaining wall. So, ang retaining wall natin ay made of reinforced concrete. So, yun ang ating gagamitin. So, mag-apply tayo ng mga factors of safety. So, retaining wall design is an iterative process. Ibig sabihin, paulit-ulit yan hanggang maging safe lahat. Okay? So, magpapalit ka ng mga dimensions, magpapalit ka ng properties. So, it is an iterative process hanggang pumasa sila lahat. An initial geometry is usually assigned to the wall and the appropriate forces are calculated. The actual forces are then checked using acceptable factors of safety, and the geometry is revised until satisfactory factors of safety are reached. There are, however, common dimensions for walls that are available that can be used as a first cut. Proportioning of walls. In order to achieve stability, retaining walls are usually proportioned so that the width of the base is equal to approximately 0.5 to 0.7 times the height of the wall, or 50 to 70% of the wall. So kapag sinabing stability, may kinalaman dito ang weight nung or mass nung wall. And then another is sliding. Since meron tayong lateral earth pressure, kailangan yung wall hindi siya mag-move or hindi siya mag-slide. A retaining structure has a tendency to move away from the backfill surface because of the horizontal driving forces resulting from the soil backfill and other forces such as surcharge. Generally, the wall resists sliding by the frictional resistance developed between the foundation of the wall and foundation soil. Although other horizontal forces act opposite to the driving force, such as passive soil pressure in the fill in front of the wall, it is often ignored. So, matatakel natin to later on. The factor of safety with respect to sliding equals the resisting force divided by the driving force. So, pag-usapan natin itong driving force. Initially, yung driving force, yan yung magtutumba sa wall. So, meron tayong soil, meron tayong passive cohesion, meron tayong surcharge, at meron tayong water. And then yung resisting force naman. Ang resisting force, one would be the weight of the wall itself. Ano? Kung malaki yung mass mo ng retaining wall, syempre, hindi siya basta-basta matutumba. Another resisting force is, syempre, etong wall mo, nakabaon yan sa lupa at meron ding tambak dito sa labas. So, yung fill dito sa labas, nag-e-exert din siya ng soil pressure para kontrahin yung driving force. So, ibig sabihin nito is, yung resisting force mo divided by the driving force should be 1.5 or more. Ibig sabihin nito, yung resisting force mas malakas ng 50% dun sa driving force. This is a common assumption and avoids relying on the presence of soil in front of the wall for additional resistance. Factor of safety for sliding is summation forces vertical times tangent of K phi1 divided by PAH, or that this is the pressure active horizontal. Summation V is the total vertical force, PAH is the horizontal active earth pressure force, and tangent K phi1 is the coefficient of friction between the base of the wall and the soil. The factor K ranges from 1/2 to 2/3, and phi1 is the friction angle of the foundation soil. The above equation assumes that the soil below the wall is a cohesionless material such as sand without any cohesive strength. Therefore, there is no additional resistance due to cohesion. So, we will tackle this sa problem solving. And then another to consider in factor of safety is overturning. A retaining structure also has a tendency to rotate outward around the toe of the wall. The moment resulting from the earth pressure force as well as other lateral forces such as surcharge, must be resisted by the moments resulting from the vertical forces produced by the wall, including any vertical component of the earth pressure force. Thus, the factor of safety with respect to overturning is the resisting moment divided by the overturning moment. A minimum factor of safety of 2 to 3 is desirable to resist overturning moment. So, ito, factor of safety, summation moment resisting all over summation moment overturning. Ngayon, yung overturning moment, yan yung mga magtutumba dun sa retaining wall. Tapos yung moment R or resisting moment, yan yung mga moment due to the forces na magpre-prevent na matumba yung wall. So yung resisting should be 2 to 3 times of the overturning moment. And then lastly, we have bearing capacity. As with any structure, the bearing capacity of the soil must be adequate to safely support the structure. The resultant of all forces acting along the base of the wall from earth pressure and the weight of the wall result in a non-uniform pressure below the base of the wall, with the greatest pressure below the toe of the base and the least pressure below the heel of the base. The maximum and minimum pressure below the base of the wall B is this equation, where E is the eccentricity. Generally, a factor of safety of 3 is required. So yung mga equations na yan, matatakel din natin yan sa sample. So eccentricity is an important consideration when proportioning the walls. Consider the eccentricity in relationship to the minimum pressure Q min, substituting for E, so forth, and so on. So, dito may kinalaman yung eccentricity at meron ding kinalaman yung zero. Ngayon, itong zero na yan, ibig sabihin yan, yan yung soil pressure na kapag less than zero, ibig sabihin magkakaroon ka ng soil tension or yung footing mo lalabas na. Expressions A and B give acceptable results since pressure at the heel is 0 or greater. Thus, the entire base lies in contact with the soil. Ayan. Ngayon, kapag C less than 0, ibig sabihin yung footing mo tumataas na. If expression C were true, then pressure at the heel is negative, indicating the heel of the base is tending toward lifting off the soil, which is unacceptable. If this condition occurs, then the wall must be reproportioned. And finally, other considerations. Before a wall design is complete, the settlement of the wall and the global stability of the entire mass on which the wall is supported must be checked. Settlement must lie within tolerable ranges, and global stability such as slope stability calculations must be adequate. So, siyempre, wag mong kakalimutan dito yung reinforced concrete design dahil mag-specify ka rin ng mga reinforcing steel bars. And then you also have to check the beam if for shear, for moment, ida-design mo siya as singly reinforced beam. Okay, so that ends our lecture on lateral earth pressure. Ang susunod na dito ay yung mga equations regarding Rankine active and Rankine passive earth pressure. Ayan na. So, gagawa na tayo ng mga equations. So, okay guys, thank you for listening.